If you ever find yourself programming in Eclipse to create a plugin or extend Eclipse in one way or the other, you will very quickly get familiar with the idea of a command pattern. Anything that happens in Eclipse, so for instance, if I type something, this gets encapsulated or put into a command. And this allows us to do things like undo and redo. So for instance, if I type something in this editor and then I undo typing, it goes away. And if I go back and do redo typing, it comes back because Eclipse uses the command pattern. And I'll show you how that works. Now, when I undo from Eclipse, invoke it through the menu or use the command key for that, the tooling itself has no idea what was previously done. All it does is go to something called a command stack. The command stack is an ordered collection of commands. The commands encapsulate whatever we had done in the past. So say, for instance, in this case, I did some typing last, then I would have a typing command or insert into editor command. If I had before that deleted something, it would know that the action before that was to delete. And say I did some other stuff before that. So it basically is a collection of commands. And commands being objects that remembers what was done. These are smart commands that know how to execute and do the undoing and redoing on behalf of the editor. What happened in Eclipse when I selected the undo typing is basically a message sequence that goes something like this. The menu item will go to the command stack and simply tell it to undo. The command stack pops the top command and tells that command to undo itself. And using polymorphism, the menu item doesn't necessarily know anything except that it's calling some method on the command stack, or it may know that it's doing undo, but the command stack itself may not know anything about what the various commands are. And it's very easy for you as a programmer to introduce a new command into Eclipse. All you need to do is to implement the behavior required by the interface of the command, which will be undo, redo, and execute. So let's take a look at what that might look like in a class diagram. First, we have the command stack, and the command stack is almost like a facade, if you remember that pattern, a facade for dealing with all these commands. So the command stack would have functions such as undo, redo, and execute will be whenever we create a new command, and it will handle all the commands and keep track of them, knowing which order they were executed. The command is an interface that has, for instance, execute the first time we execute, perhaps an undo to undo the command, and redo to execute the command again. And of course, I should draw in the association where the command stack holds the set of commands. As someone that is providing functionality to Eclipse, I will have to create concrete implementations of the command. So for example, I could create a cut command, and I would have to implement the execute, undo, and redo. And then, of course, inside this class, I would have the behavior that would keep track of what was selected, make sure that it gets on the clipboard, but also know what action to take to undo the cut if that was required. Of course, in Eclipse, there are many of these commands. Commands like drag and drop, maybe a refactoring command that can undo itself also. There are a couple of other interesting things in here, but you see the point. What we have done is we have taken something that is typically an algorithm and a function and encapsulated it into an object. In this case, for the purpose of being able to attach commands, perhaps to menu items, to do things like undo and redo and so on.